In this video, I'm going to go over the top 9 issues currently plaguing Halo Reach on PC before the launch, and it's like 343 going to be able to fix all these before December 3rd? Well, stay tuned throughout the whole video to understand all the details. How's it going, everybody? It's Kevin here once again, giving you another news informational video when it comes to Halo Reach. If you like these news informational videos, please make sure to tap that like button, as it greatly helps out the video and channel quite a bit, guys. Leave a comment down below what your experiences were with Flight 3 if you got a chance to play. I do read all the comments and try to reply to most of them as well. And if you want to stay updated with everything going on with the Halo community, make sure to tap subscribe, guys, because we keep you up to date with everything going on in Halo. So let's get right into the information. So like I mentioned in the previous video, this is going to be one of those more videos digging into details about each issue that's going to be dealing with the MCC release of Halo Reach. So we're going to be talking about 1, the mouse input issues; 2, controller aim assist on PC; 3 is going to be variable frame rate; 4 are going to be the audio issues; 5 is server latency; 6, server selection; number 7 is going to be push to talk; number 8, Vsync issues; and number 9, getting stuck in menus and crashes. So that's going to be kind of outlining everything we're going to be talking about in this video, people. So let's get right into the video here. And before I get into it, I just want to say, guys, I'm sorry, I am currently under the weather right now at the moment, but I'm grinding out the videos for you guys to keep you all updated with everything going on in the community. So can we get a like? I'm just saying, come on. So anyways, guys, let's jump right into the first issue here. Probably the most prominent one most people are experiencing, the mouse input issues. So if many of you had a chance to play Flight 3 on PC, at the beginning launch of that multiplayer flight, you might have noticed that the mouse inputs were feeling a little bit off, as in there was a bit of an input latency when it came to playing the game. Now, after the mid-flight patch that came out, a lot of people experienced a lot better with the mouse and keyboard, me included, though people still reported that the mouse and keyboard were feeling a little bit off. They said basically this issue was due to the game prioritizing mouse and keyboard hardware in a lower priority compared to other instances that should be running. So what they did to fix this is they added the mouse and keyboard inputs to be a higher priority, which would hopefully fix the issue quite a bit. Now, they did mention about how variable frame rate does tend to have a bigger issue. If you run over 60 FPS, then you kind of start noticing this latency even more, which we will dig into later in this video about variable frame rate as well, if that's going to be at launch for the game. So you guys make sure to stay tuned throughout the whole video here. So basically, they say that after the patch that a lot of people's concerns were kind of fixed, and they do mention how that the current build that we were playing for Flight 3 is about 3 weeks behind the current build of the game, and how they're constantly keep on improving this. Now, there are also many settings you guys can mess around with, like mouse smoothing, mouse acceleration, things like that kind of help maybe kind of bring the mouse and keyboard to a proper feel when it came to playing this game. Now, Halo is a very different kind of shooter as well to take into consideration, because in most games I've ever played on PC don't shoot like Halo. That's what makes Halo such a fun game and such a unique game for me, is that like it doesn't play like anybody else, any other kind of game out there, which is super important, and that's why I really like playing it. And so I've never really played Halo on mouse and keyboard before, so it's going to take a whole new learning process. And after the patch, I certainly noticed an improvement, and to the point where I was saying, like, it feels good. Now, variable frame rate, or playing at, I'm sure, more taxing on your system setups would definitely probably add more latency to that, but we'll have to see. But currently at the moment, they say they have it at a good fix, but they're looking to iterate on the mouse and keyboard post-launch as well, if people still are having issues with this. Number 2 on the main issues plaguing the Halo Reach on the PC is the controller aim assist on PC, as even when I was playing Flight 3, I was using controller for my gunplay and using the mouse and keyboard for my vehicles, though when I was using it for the gunplay, people are even calling me out in chat as a controller user. I'm a controller noob, where I should be using the superior mouse and keyboard on that proper platform to get the true PC master race experience. Well, people in the community have kind of talked about this, mentioned about how maybe they should try to tweak maybe some of the bullet magnetism or the aim assist when it comes to using a controller. But 343 does mention that they currently are not looking to change any of the auto aim or aim assist abilities when it comes to using a controller on PC, as it could cause a lot more issues than you would expect it just to do a minor tweak like that. They even mentioned about how 343 has heard the feedback of maybe having an opt-in feature when it comes to playing with people with controller versus keyboard, which would be, I'd say, a nice option, though it would certainly increase the search times and split the community up a bit. Though, I mean, Call of Duty has this feature as well. And various other games, I believe, on top of that, do that. I would say that what I would do is, in this situation, is maybe if you can code it, have a preference to match people with a similar kind of interface, as in match people with controllers versus controllers. But if it exceeds a certain amount of time, then I would say throw in PC players as well. It's kind of what the Call of Duty crossplay does as well, where it tries to match you against people using the same input device. But though, if the matchmaking is taking a little bit longer, or you need to make sure that the connections are proper, you can add in some mouse and keyboard players as well, which I think would be a nice compromise between the two right there. But though, from my experience, that yes, gunplay on the controller is much easier than using a mouse and keyboard. The aim assist is quite favorable. They do mention how CE and Halo 2 on PC released with the vanilla settings that came with the game as well, much like how Reach is planning to do as well. And I've heard people complained back then about it, but of course I'm assuming that there wasn't so much crossover when it came to using a controller on a keyboard or PC, as in back then having a controller like an Xbox One controller wasn't really even possible on PC. You had to do some probably finagling to get that around to start working, but you get my point on that. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Should there be an opt-in feature to play with people on PC when you're playing on PC? Should you only match people using keyboard and mouse, or only a controller, or maybe to mix up with both? Or do they suggest an I put in? Let me know in the comment section. I do reply to most of those as well. So let's get into the third issue: variable frame rate, as in the ability to have whatever kind of frame rate you want on PC. Generally, most of the times now, PC games generally can play above 160 frames, sometimes 120, 144, even 200 plus if you're playing Counter-Strike. And so a lot of PC players assume these kind of features to be at release. Now, that feature was at the original launch of Flight 3, then later removed after the patch to help isolate some issues when it comes to input latency. Now, they do mention that variable frame rate, the ability to go above 60 FPS, will be available at launch for Halo Reach on PC. Though they do mention this might be a bit more of an experimental variable frame rate on day one. So as long as I'd say you have like a feedback kind of thing pop up when you turn that on, have a little window pop up saying your experience may change as it's an experimental feature. Make sure you let people know that there might be issues with that, rather than just trying to go like, oh, hopefully they don't notice anything. Issue number 4 when it comes to Reach on PC are the audio issues. They mention here that basically the 360 version was sounding a little bit better than the PC or MCC version. And they do mention how bringing this game over to PC especially required entirely changing the encoding of the game's audio. So basically from the ground up, how to make sure that the audio works for the game. So understandably, there might be some differences right there. Now, they're not huge differences to where it doesn't even sound like the same game, but it's definitely noticeable to where this game sounds a little bit not as good, a little bit more compressed or something like that. They do mention that it's currently underway to resolve this issue, though currently you need time to test it out, build it, and then also be able to flight the audio fixes as well on top of that. Though they do mention that the dynamic audio has been reported as a bit of an issue, and it's going to be fixed in time for launch as well. It's currently involved with Ring 1 and 2 for the flights when it comes to fixing the dynamic audio issue. So hopefully by the time the game releases, dynamic audio will be fixed, though the audio might not be sounding as good as it did back in the 360 days. Number 5 on the current list of issues plaguing Halo Reach coming to PC is going to be the server latency issues, as in many people outside of the US reported some pretty laggy servers during the matchmaking experiences here. Me, on my experience, I didn't really notice this too much. Of course, I'm playing over in Seattle, so I'm sure I'm probably near some major servers that can help give me a good amount of players within a decent location. So I'm assuming people probably in Australia or in London area or in Europe just in general they might be having some issues with that. So what they're looking to do is improve the servers when it comes to the servers in data centers at launch right there. Hopefully reduce the latency and delay in various networks. So hopefully that issue will be resolved. As I do mention, this is a spot where they can always see room for improvement, as in obviously being able to improve your servers is always something you can do. So hopefully that can be resolved a little bit for the outside people of the US before the launch of the game. Number 6 on the issues plaguing Halo Reach coming to the PC is going to be server selection, which it just isn't there. But some games nowadays are kind of coming to a much more refined experience when it comes to your matchmaking experiences on PC, where now even having this option to select your server isn't becoming such a rare thing anymore, where a lot of games do offer that feature. I remember back in the Battlefield 3 days, I did enjoy being able to select where I was going to be able to play, so I didn't have to worry about the game selecting a laggy match for me. Sometimes I'm willing to wait to make sure I get into a good match. Now that option currently is not involving the release onto MCC PC, though 343 does recognize that this is something that people do requested for, and they are going to try to do their best to try to see if they can make it so they can either have the server load be distributed evenly throughout their current matchmaking to give you a good matchmaking experience. And if people really want this, they might add it in, but I wouldn't currently hold your breath on it. But they are looking into hopefully distributing the server loads a little bit more evenly. Number 7 on the list, push to talk. It's currently not an option, which is usually commonly is when it comes to playing Reach on PC, as with the Flight 3, your mic was just always on, though it wasn't playing through, which I'm sure they probably found a way to make it to mute yourself when it comes to playing this game, because I can only imagine what this game would be like with a mic always on. As we do know from our Xbox Live experiences, it's not usually the best. Though I do believe there is an option to make sure everyone is muted within your game, which is super nice. 343 will have push to talk as a feature at launch, though it will be hardbound to the V key when it comes to playing Halo Reach on PC for right now. I don't know why they can't just have it a customizable key input, but I'm sure there's probably some roundabout way they have to go about doing this. And so if you want to do a push to talk option on Reach, guys, you're going to have to press the V key to do it, but at least the feature will be there. Number 8 on this list is going to be Vsync, as currently a lot of people, especially my buddy Patman Gaming, mentioned about when he had Vsync turned on, he was still getting screen tearing, which shouldn't be happening at all. And also that Vsync was creating some input latency on top of that. Now, from my experience, Vsync was actually working totally fine for me, though I was using a GeForce NVIDIA card, so that could actually have something to do with it. But if you're playing like with an AMD card, that might be some issues going on there. But if you guys don't know what Vsync is, it basically locks the game at the frame rate refresh rate of your monitor. So a lot of times it'll be 60 Hertz, sometimes 120 or 144. Now, 343 does mention that they do believe to have this issue fixed, and will hopefully keep an eye on it when the game does release, so keep that in mind when it comes to that. And lastly, number 9 on the list of issues that's been blocking Halo Reach on PC is going to be the issue of crashes, of stability, and also being stuck in menus. When this Flight 3 first came around, guys, there was a lot of that happening. And when I was streaming the game, wow, a lot of crashes in between games. And also that the menu oftentimes would get you stuck in it and you couldn't just not get out of it. You had to do some weird kind of alt-enter kind of options to get around that. And so people, after that patch, have been noticing that the crashes and the getting stuck in menus has certainly been reduced or almost completely eliminated. And I do remember hearing some people still having that issue, though for the most part it does seem like they have it under control, as 343 does mention that it looks like they have it pretty much resolved when it comes to this. There might be some more one-offs, but they're trying to, if you do have more issues with that, make sure to report a ticket, guys, and also report what happened exactly so they can try to reproduce these issues, as these more crashes and these getting stuck in menu options might be a little bit more one-offs rather than continuous bugs. So those were the top 9 issues plaguing Halo Reach coming to PC, and now many of these have been resolved or are in the works of being resolved right now, so that's a very good thing to note, especially with the variable frame rate confirmed to be launched on Halo Reach on release day, which is going to be nice. And it does seem like a lot of these issues are going to be pretty much fixed before the release of the game, which is perfect. The controller aim assist, I know, is going to be a bit of a hot topic for a lot of people as they continue to look into this issue. Though, guys, if you like these news informational videos going in depth when it comes to a lot of this stuff, I know it's a long video, but it's a lot of information to go into, guys. So if you like these kind of news informational videos, please make sure to tap that like button. Let me know if you want to see some more content like this. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts were on the top 9 blocking issues when it comes to Reach coming to PC. And if you're new to the channel, stay up there with anything going on within the Halo community. Make sure you tap subscribe people to keep yourself updated with everything going on. And if you're new to the channel or missing any content from me, check out the videos on the screen right now. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.